Hey everybody, I'm Jordan Garza and welcome back to Unredacted. On today's episode, we're going to be doing a different style of video, not a different style, more just a wildly different topic. We're going to be diverging away from politics and into something that I just find really interesting, so that's why I'm talking about it. Also, sidebar, I'm running on very little sleep, a lot of caffeine, so I'm moving fast, try to keep up. So, you saw the title of the video, I'm not going to bury the lead, and we're going to start with my personal favorite, Project Thor, of what America's rods from God, space-based superweapon can do. So this is the idea of this is a satellite station that's been placed near Earth orbit, and it's holding multiple tungsten rods, which are basically 20-foot long, I think 1-foot diameter poles that are held up by this satellite in low Earth orbit, hover over the target they intend to hit, and then merely drop it. Now, you might be thinking, Jordan, how much destructive power can these things really have? Well, in comparison to, say, the bombs we dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, I know I messed that up, say Fat Man and Little Man respectively, they're pretty much off by an order of magnitude. I mean, almost 5,000 times less powerful. However, the difference in these weapons is they can't be shot. So a normal bomb, you have to drop that with a plane. Planes, as we know from Top Gun, can be easily shot down. Or you have to use what's called ICBM, Intercontinental Ballistic Missile. Now, the issue with that is there are many area of denial systems or surface-to-air missiles. The issue with ICBMs is that there are many ways of stopping these things before they actually make impact with their intended target. Area of denial systems, SAM turrets, many ways of stopping these things, but with the sheer force of a tungsten rod coming down at terminal velocity, there is no feasible, well, at least that we know of, there is no feasible defense for that. So it's much less lethal and less damaging. However, it's significantly harder to stop. So let's read a little bit about Project Thor. Now, the other thing about Project Thor, this technically, officially never got past the theoretical stage. Now, there's a lot of hot debate whether this was actually implemented or not. A lot of things made by DARPA normally are secretly put into implementation. However, it's told to the public that we scrapped this, it was too expensive. I think the price of this was somewhere in the realm of $1 trillion to actually put into operation. We spend that kind of money on way stupider things all the time, so I don't think it's outside of the realm of possibility. However, this is concept art. You can see, and the official story is this doesn't exist. But so let's read a little bit about Project Thor. Now, while the 1967 Outer Space Treaty prohibits the U.S. deployment of nuclear weapons, biological, or chemical weapons in space, the new weapon promises to deliver The new weapon promises to deliver strikes more powerful than many types of nuclear and chemical attacks. Now, again, I've done my research, and nuclear, not so much. Chemical, possibly. While avoiding the unfavorable fallout which follows nuclear strikes, the development of a non-nuclear space-based superweapon also provides the U.S. with a potentially massive advantage against adversaries with a no-first-use policy from their own nuclear arsenals such as China, North Korea, allowing the U.S. to strike targets with the same level of force as a nuclear warhead without the escalation to nuclear war. So this is basically America finding a loophole. Hey, it's not nuclear, it's not chemical, it's just kinetic warfare. It is actually the oldest style of fighting your enemy. You pick up something heavy and just drop it on top of them. So this is just one of my favorites, and we've got a couple of different things. We're actually going to talk about another failed project, one thing that was discovered in like a CIA uncovery or raid, and then I have a list of weapons that have actually been implemented today, and I just thought they were really cool, so we're going to go over those too. Project Thor will see telephone pole-sized tungsten rods 20 feet long and 1 foot in diameter, dropped from an American satellite to strike hardened bunkers and underground nuclear complexes. These rods will not carry a warhead, but will strike with approximately 10 times the speed of sound, allowing them to cause tremendous damage and sheer speed of their impact. This would provide an alternative to both nuclear bunker busters and conventional ones such as the GBRU-57. North Korea and Russia, both which deploy considerable assets from their well-hardened installations, although to be primarily potential targets to these weapons alongside Iran, which has received Korean assistance in the hardening of its own missile sites and nuclear facilities. So read this. The cost of deploying these rods, which weighs over 10,000 kilograms due to the density of tungsten, may be prohibitive. Each rod is expected to cost over $230 million, several times the price of conventional and nuclear bunker busters. Deployments may also lead rival powers to retaliate by deploying similar systems of their own, potentially kicking off an arms race in space. That just arms race in space. That just sounds cool. Sorry. I know this isn't good, but I think it's fun. The psychological impact of deploying these weapons, which even with air-based bases taken out of the service will still be able to deliver strikes from an altitude of tens of thousands of kilometers, may in of itself make Project Thor a worthwhile investment. Now see, right there, they're like, it could still be worth doing. And this appears just terrifying, and I don't know why I find it interesting. But moving on. So this is from Forbes, and the idea behind this one is basically targeted and controlled lightning. I put that picture up there just to give you an idea. So this is when the CIA considered weaponizing lightning. Now this one I find more in the realm of probably didn't happen, simply because the way they lay out having to deploy such a weapon is actually pretty difficult, and I find it unwieldy. But my friend brought it up to me. I thought it was cool, so we're going to talk about it. This is a declassified document. The Thunderbolts, traditionally the weapons of the gods, but in 1967 the CIA were wondering whether they too could call down bolts of lightning from the heavens at will. The idea is contained in a proposal from scientists sent to the CIA's Deputy Research Special Activities and passed on to this Chief Air Systems Division. The scientist's name has been redacted. Ooh. In the declassification documents of the CIA's archive, but the proposal mentions previous discussions with the CIA, indicating they were being taken very seriously. So, the guided lightning concept is based on the observation that lightning follows a path of ionized air known as a step leader. Once the leader stroke reaches the ground and makes a circuit, the lightning proper is formed at a current flow, typically around 300 million volts and 30,000 amps. The scientists suggest that artificial leaders could cause discharges to occur when and where they want. The artificial leader would be a wire, a few thousandths of an inch in diameter and several miles long. Wires could be inserted into storms and aircraft or rockets on a spool and unrolled by a drowge parachute, and lightning would follow them down to the ground. Now, this is my big issue with this. Finding a way to unroll this spool the exact spot you need using wires or a parachute, it's too wide of an area of margin of error, and it just, to me, seems a bit unlikely. But since we're talking about crazy things the CIA considered, let's talk about one thing they actually did. So this is the CIA secretly created an undetectable heart attack gun. Now this one was confirmed, and I just thought it was cool. We're not going to talk about it very long because they only have a bit to say about it, but yeah. Cold War must have been an amazing time to be a weapons manufacturer for the U.S. government, like some kind of early Tony Stark or Howard Stark. If you could dream it, you could build it. The chances were very good the CIA would fund it. From funding LSD tests using prostitutes and their johns, to a secret underground ice base in Greenland, to trying to build an actual flying saucer, there was literally no end to what the CIA would try. They ended up actually building and using was much less fun and much more terrifying. We only found it because the Senator Frank Church decided to do a little investigating. Among other things, we found a gun that caused heart attacks, a weapon that has been used against U.S. political enemies and beyond. And like I said, we're only going to touch on this one really quick because all of this is just saying, about a trove of illegal methods used by the CIA, NSA, FBI, and even then the IRS, which I'm going to talk a little bit about the IRS in a different video because they are currently building somewhat of an army. And the primary way of assassination now with the CIA is poison darts, ricin strips, things that are undetectable. You can do them, leave, and then it doesn't happen until days later. No way of being implicated. Now, as promised though, I did say we're going to go over some weapons that actually are in use today, declassified, used. We've seen examples of them. I can even show you some videos if you want, but let's just go through some of my favorites. So this is from Pocket Link. 61 interesting and incredibly futuristic weapons and modern fighting vehicles. These are things that are actually implemented today, and I don't know what these guys are wearing, but they look cool. But like I said, very little sleep, a lot of caffeine, so I'm going to run through these kind of quick. If you ever get lost, potatoes keeping count. All right, let's go. Adaptive camouflage. The enemy can't shoot what they can't see. The goal of the BAE system, adaptive camouflage, is to mask military vehicles from infrared signatures and shield them from the direction of allowing them to blend in with their surroundings. The idea of this camouflage is basically that it takes, I thought when I originally saw this, was that it's taking an idea of what it's surrounded by and then masking that using these plates, but I was completely incorrect. What actually happens is these plates are detecting the ambient temperature of the area they're in and then causing them to basically become invisible to infrared or thermal detection systems. If you see here, Yeah, on this, it basically shows you what the difference in these systems can do based on a thermal detection system. Magneto-hydraulic explosive munition, or the Mayhem. The Mayhem weapon system by DARPA, oh, there they are, my favorite people, uses a magnetic flux of generators to fire a projectile without traditional use of chemical explosives, creating a more effective and precise launching system. This projectile weapon system also uses a molten metal penetrating enemy armor around vehicles, increasing lethality effectiveness in battlefield. So it uses the molten metal to literally just melt right through any level of armor system and just destroy things. Fuck, amazing. The shockwave is a large scale. The taser shockwave is a large-scale area of denial system designed to help assist in riot control situations, especially in essentially a large modular system firing numerous taser X-26 stun guns in a 20-degree arc with a 25-foot range. Something you do not want to be anywhere near when it went off. And this is basically, yeah, large area of denial. You got a riot of people all charging at you. Boop. None of those guys are a problem anymore. Potato, move them on. This next one should be very familiar to anyone that's played any kind of recent Call of Duty game. The Modular Advanced Arms Robotics System is a heavily armored bot designed to save lives, handle situations too dangerous to send real people into. Now this little guy is outfitted with some crazy stuff. Large robot can be armed with a 400-round M240B machine gun, a grenade launcher, or even used to drag injured soldiers out of danger. Capable of a top speed of only 7 miles per hour, it is just fast enough to keep up with the troops and has the staying power too. With the battle system capable of running up to 12 hours, luckily there is no AI involved. We are not going to see a robot uprising from these little dudes just yet. The Thunder Generator. The Israeli army, alongside the PDT Argo, were experimenting with a weapon known as the Thunder Generator. This machine was designed to detonate an explosion in its barrel, then release at high speeds shockwave that could be used to deafen temporarily and push back people up to 100 feet away. Useful in a variety of situations, no doubt. So you don't like it, we'll hit you with a little, everybody goes deaf, send them packing. Potato, you send them packing to the next one. If the Thunder Cannon wasn't cool enough for you, how about a Heat Ray? Another non-lethal energy weapon designed to help with crowd and riot control, also known as the Heat Ray. This system works by heating the target surface on the same principles as a microwave oven. We're shooting microwaves at people? Under continued exposure, people have experienced several burns on the top layer of their skin. The idea is simple enough. Things get so hot that you just don't want to stick around. Love it. Moving on. So that not cool enough for you? How about a little bit of Star Wars? The laser weapon system is essentially exactly what it sounds like, a ship-mounted laser cannon. The laser system allows for pinpoint targeting and the destruction of enemy assets, including everything from small ordnance to enemy craft engines. You only need to see the laser in action to appreciate its benefits. It also has the advantage of being much more cost-effective, efficient, and when compared to traditional projectile weaponry. It only requires significant power to fire, where missiles need to be built, transported, stored, maintained in order to be used properly. So we got Thor light, So rods from God, laser cannon, sound waves, heat rays, none of that cool enough for you? How about a little bit of Iron Man? The Human Universal Load Carrier, or Hulk. I guess it's the Hulk. The Hulk is a hydraulic-powered exoskeleton suit intended to support soldiers in the battlefield and allow them to transport heavy loads for extended periods of time without the usual exhaustion that would come from such a risk. And you can see right here, this guy's running with it looks like he's got his pack set up here, and is that an MG? Jesus, that's awesome. Moving on. Alright, all of that still not cool enough for you. Fine, I got a few more. Hybrid insect micro-electro-mechanical systems, the high MEMS. Another system straight out of the science fiction is this time in the form of bugs. Though it might look like someone strapped a circuit board to the back of a beetle, it's actually a basic representation of the technology that has been worked on for decades. Micro-air vehicles, MAVs, and micro-electrical systems, MEMS, have been in the works since the 1940s, and thanks to the magic of editing, you will not see how many times I messed that up, and are essential to cyborg bugs and winged creatures that have been enslaved to do man's bidding. And I'm assuming Freedom of Information Act requested to DARPA, there they are again, anything DARPA is involved in, I just think's real, revealed some of the interesting truths behind the military's hardware that included the implanting in technologies into insects and larvae at pupa stage for the greatest chance of viability. Cameras, tracking devices obviously provide the perfect tracking capabilities that no one would expect, ideal for surveilling enemy bodies or even a government-owned citizens. Godlike weapons not good enough for you? Well, I got a couple of handheld systems here. We have the smart grenade launcher, another fans of Call of Duty will see this guy, the Origin 12, absolutely devastating, fully automatic and semi-automatic shotgun. We have the corner shot. This is a cool one. The corner shot device is capable of working with a range of pistols, which makes it flexible, but due to the nature of the weapon, its range is effectively limited to 100 meters. Now, I don't really think I really need to explain this. You got your gun here. You got a corner. Well, let's just put her right around. And there's oh, that one's at a 90 degree. That's pretty cool. Underwater weapon. Basically, like I said, it's pretty easy to understand. You got the vector. Vectors are badass. Back into the unmanned region, like the Mars robot, the Black Knight unmanned combat vehicle is designed to be sent into high-risk situations to avoid unnecessary danger to human troops. Current technology is not without limitations, though. Issues with the GPS, wire communication sensors still need to be worked out, but apparently it is a combat vehicle that has shown plenty of promise. So your unmanned vehicle has a little bit of hard time figuring out where it is. Yeah, let's not put those out yet, boys. Let's take them back to the lab. Moving on. All right, now this is one that I found actually a little bit later, but I thought it was cool, so I had to go back and put it in. Quantum stealth technology comes from a light-bending technology called quantum stealth that provides active camouflage to the user of mimics the surroundings environment. Picture of the actual technology hasn't been released for security reasons, but these mock-ups give an idea of how effective the camouflage actually is. If you look at the pictures above, this shows you like basically the idea of how these things would work, but we don't have actual, photographical evidence. Now I got a few more here. This is the LRAD, the long-range acoustic device. Basically, this thing, I'm pretty sure most people have heard of this. This is basically a sound weapon. It sends high-frequency sound, basically can cause your eardrums to rupture, cause permanent deafness. Basically, it's another area of denial systems used for riots and things of that nature. All right, last one for you guys. So I was really curious about that picture at the top, so I found it. Finally, this is it. HoloLens for soldiers. A while back, Microsoft won a multi-year contract to supply the U.S. Army with HoloLens-like devices. Since the company has collected over 80,000 hours of user data from soldiers, the data has been used to improve technology known as Integrated Visual Augmented System Device, or IVAS, in order to assist soldiers in combat like never before. Basically, it's an augmented reality system that gives you, again, COD players know this, somewhat of a HUD, probably gives you, information about your surroundings, maybe an ammo count. That'd be pretty cool. But it doesn't really give us too much information about that system in particular. So this was pretty much it, guys. I had a couple of, like I said, this is really what spurred the whole thing. I heard about Project Thor and rods from God, and I was like, I got to do a video about that. That's pretty much it for today, guys. I really appreciate it if you stuck around. You heard me ramble on about crazy stuff that I think is cool. Drop a like, follow to appease Mr. Potato here, and keep your eyes open, your ears to the ground, and we'll see y'all next time. Have a safe one out there.